Hi everyone! Today we're going to be looking at 3 rising stars on YouTube: Brett Cooper, Amala Ekpunobi, and Misha Petrov. What do these 3 women have in common? They're physically attractive, conservative Zoomers, and their channels have blown the fuck up. Brett Cooper, with the help of a professional studio and team at the Daily Wire, started her channel in January of 2022 and has already amassed over 1.5 million subscribers. Amala Ekpunobi, with the help of a team at PragerU, also started her channel in January of 2022 and now has over 625,000 subscribers. And Misha Petrov started posting 6 months ago and has gained over 130,000 subs on her own. Conservative media outlets like the Daily Wire and PragerU clearly benefit from making young people, especially young minorities, the face of their movement. The data shows that Zoomers are overwhelmingly left-leaning, and minorities tend to be left-leaning as well. Conservative audiences are hungry for content from this demographic because it gives them hope. It makes them feel like they're winning people over. I don't think these channels blowing up is evidence that the right is winning over Zoomers in droves, but to say that these influencers have no influence on Zoomers would be naive. I want to discuss what these channels seek to do, why they're so popular, and what the left should do about it. So what sets these Zoomer conservatives apart from traditional conservatives? Well, they're hip, they're secular, they swear, and they're slightly more progressive. Each of these women have some iteration of a "why I left the left" video. Brett was admittedly always conservative, but as a former actress, she talks about why she left woke Hollywood. Amala was supposedly a far-left activist who got red-pilled, and Misha was a progressive by default who left the left after her woke university experience. In short, these "why I left the left" videos are filled with fallacious and emotional reasoning. They have a very surface-level understanding of politics and don't have a grasp on what the left actually represents. Their view of the left is a straw man, constructed out of cringe woke TikToks. Not everyone on the left has arrived at their political conclusions through critical thought. If someone is unable to clearly articulate their positions, this leaves them vulnerable to takedowns by people like Ben Shapiro. So I understand why people who were left merely by default can be won over by the right. For example, one of Amala's red pill moments was watching Larry Elder school Dave Rubin on the topic of systemic racism, back when Dave Rubin identified as a liberal. Like Misha, Dave leaned left by default. He never had the knowledge to properly articulate leftist arguments. So of course he was susceptible to being schooled by a pseudo-intellectual who was well-versed in right-wing propaganda. I'm not going to deploy the no true Scotsman fallacy and say that Amala and Misha were never really on the left, but I will say that they never fully understood the leftist positions they held. Amala demonstrates this here.
When I was working for the left, I would often go to these different conferences and go and knock doors and hand out pamphlets, get people to fill out surveys and all these things. And I would get questions from maybe conservative or more classically liberal people who would challenge my beliefs, and the cognitive dissonance that I would feel in trying to defend those beliefs was unbelievable. It was insane. I remember one time this student came up and asked me, because, a lot of the left criticizes the government, and it's like, the government is doing this wrong. They're oppressing us. They've subjugated us for so long. Our systems and institutions are oppressive and racist and patriarchal and all these things. And I was talking about socialism, and this kid walks up to me and he's like, "You want socialism, so you want the government in control of all these things, but you're also telling me that the government is super oppressive and racist and patriarchal. How can you want both of those things at the same time?" And oh my gosh, in that moment, you can just feel your brain exploding of, oh no, I've been caught in a major contradiction.
This question doesn't cause cognitive dissonance for someone who has a solid grasp on what socialism actually is. She's literally doing the meme.
Socialism is when the government does stuff. And it's more socialism the more stuff it does. And if it does a real lot of stuff, it's communism.
Socialism is democracy in the workplace. It's when the government is actually functioning the way it's supposed to, meaning it's run by the people, for the people. Right now, the government is corrupted by corporate interests because that's the nature of capitalism. Money buys power. Socialists don't want the government, as it functions today, to simply do more stuff. We want an entirely different form of government, one that isn't racist, patriarchal, and oppressive. There are two modus operandi for these channels. The first is to find the worst representatives of the left, and act as if these people represent the left as a whole. It's not hard to find examples of people on the left playing identity politics, drawing conclusions that are nonsensical, and attacking their opponent's character rather than their argument.
You know what? While we're on the topic of how white people are just f***ing the world up for everyone, you're not one of the good white people. There are no good white people.
The bulk of their time is spent going after low-hanging fruit, people who identify as trans species or age fluid or whatever. As if people like this represent the broader trans community.
So Magpie's pronoun set is it, bug, dirt, they, right? It and they are used normally. So its name is Magpie, the sweater belongs to it, and it was going by itself. And then their name is Magpie, this belongs to them, they were going by themselves. For Bug, it would be Bug's name is Magpie, the sweater belongs to Bug, Bug was going by Bug's self. And then for Dirt, it would be Dirt is Magpie, the sweater belongs to Dirt, Dirt was going by Dirt's self. You can use these interchangeably in a sentence, you can use just one of them, or you can use different ones at different times.
I'll be honest, neo-pronouns and xenogenders don't make any sense to me. But these people aren't a threat to society. You could argue that they're a detriment to the trans movement by making a mockery of trans people. But they're not a threat to cis people or children, which is what is implied by these right-wing commentators. Their second MO is to misrepresent reasonable leftists. They portray them as irrational by strawmanning them.
We now know that trauma just makes it almost infinitely harder to learn when you're a child. And we also now know that systemic racism is essentially an adverse childhood experience. Children who are Black and brown in our schools are expected to be excellent while suffering from complex PTSD.
So you're lowering your expectations and your standards for an entire group of students because of the color of their skin. How do these people not see that that literally is racism? I know it's a SJW talking point, but this is a white savior complex if I've ever seen one. Somebody replied and said, bigotry of low expectations. Why is it that she doesn't seem to care about equally equipping everyone with the tools to live a quality, successful life? Because that doesn't fit in their agenda. They want everybody to be victims. It is how this whole system keeps growing and festering.
Ah yes, the leftist agenda is to make sure that Black and brown people remain victims for eternity. Here's another smooth brain take from Brett Cooper.
Farming needs to stop. That's the single biggest driver of climate change.
Shut your mouth, mate.
Hell yeah. I would love to see those soy boys spend one day working in agriculture. Just one. It would be hysterical. You people have no idea what you are talking about. Somebody replied and said, no farming would mean his vegan lifestyle would end. Literally, stop being vegan. You're part of the problem then. You can't just be above it because you live in a city and you don't have to see farmers every day. Somebody else said, how sad is it that people like this not only exist, but also vote and think they are really smart? Yeah, and all the professors at universities and higher education are breeding this and applauding it. It's awful.
It's obvious, given the context, that he misspoke. Vegans aren't advocating to abolish agriculture. He was talking about animal agriculture. Oftentimes, the reasonable people they showcase have the aesthetic of the stereotypical SJW. They have a nose ring or blue hair, or they're visibly trans or overweight. This makes it easier for them to misrepresent them because society judges people based on appearances, sadly.
We have one more here.
Oh God, this thing is just a creature.
This is a teacher and
Creature teacher.
So you're very close, maybe
I
both.
was. Oh my gosh. Why are they hiring people that look like this as teachers?
You know what? That should be
honestly no.
That should root out half of the problem. Just by going, I'm not going to hire somebody who looks like this, and you can call that discrimination or whatever, but it would work. It's a tried and true test.
I'm good. Discriminate.
Yep.
I discriminate. I do.
That's what they're calling for. They want white folks out of schools and all this stuff and all. Yeah, whatever. Here we go.
I am an openly queer teacher. Now, I don't stand in front of my elementary students and be like,
elementary.
I like women, but I wear a bi-flag watch band, bi-flag bracelets, In my classroom, I keep a rainbow flag.
Dude, trust me, they know.
Got Mickey Mouse on it because I love Mickey. But it's got a rainbow. My kids know what it means.
Okay,
This
so
is
what?
me telling them I am a safe place to talk without making a big deal out of being queer.
Without making a big deal out of it.
Why do
You've
you
got...
have to talk about anything having to do with sexuality?
Why?
Why?
It's so
Like, why do you care
weird.
so much? It's so uncomfortable. I could never talk to a child about this.
And then people are like, don't call them groomers and all this stuff. But what is this?
I know.
This teacher said nothing to indicate that they shouldn't be teaching children. Please explain how a pride flag with Mickey Mouse on it is inappropriate for a classroom. A pride flag is a symbol of love, not sex. Queer relationships are no more sexual than straight ones.
I have to put this video up because I found this so hilarious. Abortion ruling, Roe v. Wade being overturned, and she...
I agree that displays of emotion like this are cringy and indicative of poor emotional regulation. However, the reason this person is upset is totally valid. The overturning of Roe v. Wade is a serious problem. I don't know what the purpose of showing a clip like this is, other than to portray the left as ridiculous. Another thing these channels do often is respond to people by simply laughing at them or calling them stupid, but failing to make a counter-argument.
Trans women will never be real women. Wow, that was aggressive for no reason. What's a real woman? Well, real women can have children. I mean, there are a lot of cis women who can't give birth for a variety of reasons. Well, real women menstruate. Once again, there are lots of cis women who will not menstruate for a variety of reasons. Okay, how about this? Real women don't have facial hair. What are you talking about? A ton of cis women have facial hair. Well, real women have breasts. They don't have to put all this padding on their chest or get surgery. So first off, there are lots of cis women who are just naturally small-chested and who might choose to get some enhancement, which is completely their choice, and I don't see why you care if it makes them feel more confident.
What she coincidentally did not think to add in there is that women have two X chromosomes.
Science!
Most people in the comments were agreeing with this woman, but I appreciated this one. She said, I'm assigned a female at birth and I have a beard I have to shave every other day. Medically, I'm fine. I'm just Italian. Yeah, well, I have to get my lip waxed, but I still have two XX chromosomes just like you. These are all just superficial reasons.
Stating that women must have XX chromosomes is an assertion, not an argument. So why are these channels so popular? We know that the YouTube algorithm loves consistency and frequency, and Amala and Brett have entire teams to help them pump out lots of content. The Daily Wire and PragerU are funded by oil billionaires, so they have the resources to divide labor and avoid burnout that is common among independent YouTubers. Actual leftists, meaning anti-capitalists, not liberals, simply have fewer resources than right-wingers, given the nature of capitalism. But what explains Misha's success? For one, controversy gets clicks. And two, surface-level commentary appeals to the masses. The general public is ignorant because we're so distracted by daily tasks. Capitalism keeps us busy, and most people don't have the time to dive deep into complex topics. Also, there's a lot of stuff that's wrong in the world. It's impossible to be informed on every topic. But the less knowledge someone has, the more prone they are to believe information that's coming from someone who delivers it with confidence. And Brett, Amala, and Misha exude confidence. So what can the left do to combat these channels? For one, we need to prioritize our mental and physical health so we can avoid burnout and be better advocates overall. We need more leftist self-help gurus because there's a clear demand for this type of content. And unfortunately, the self-help space is overrun by people who are either conservative or apolitical. This could honestly be a video of its own. Let me know if that's something you want to see. We also need to shift the narrative around personal responsibility. This could also be a video of its own, which I've already done, so go check it out. I think what pulls people towards conservative politics is the emphasis on personal responsibility. People feel more encouraged by the narrative that they have control in their lives. Leftists need to stress that acknowledging systemic issues does not have to accompany a victim mentality. The second thing we should do is actively oppose cancel culture. Yes, the term cancel culture has been bastardized, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist in any capacity. Another thing pulling people towards conservatism is feeling rejected by leftists for questioning leftist orthodoxy or expressing disagreement. This doesn't mean we shouldn't push back against harmful views, but we should remember to separate people from their beliefs and judge them for the whole of who they are. Shunning is not an effective political strategy. We need more solidarity, not more factionalization. The third thing we should do is sharpen our argumentation skills. Stop giving these channels fuel by using fallacious reasoning. Familiarize yourself with logical fallacies. Drop the toxic identity politics. I have an entire video on this as well. Try to steelman your opponent. This requires actually listening to them to understand where they're coming from. And of course, concede when they make a fair point. And lastly, we should focus on the issue that affects Zoomers the most, which is climate change. We really need to drive home the message that climate change is caused by capitalism. And would you look at that, I have a video on this as well. This video has basically turned into me doing a bunch of self-promo. So while we're at it, check out my debate with Buck Angel. No, but seriously, I would love to debate any of these conservative Zoomers. People on the right, including Dennis Prager himself, often claim that leftists are afraid of debate. And let me just say that yes, I am afraid of debate. Not because I lack confidence in my beliefs, but because public speaking is terrifying. But the only way to overcome fear is to do things that scare you. So if you're watching this, Misha, Amala, Brett, which I realize is highly unlikely because this channel is very small, I am more than happy to come on your show and have a conversation. Thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. Alright, peace out.
Yo, how when me eat them, I wonder when me eat. When me tell them say me no eat no fish, no meat now. How when me eat them, I wonder when me yam. When me tell them say that I'm a vegan man. How when me eat them, I wonder when me eat. When me